Here's Carolyn Jarvis.
For most Canadians, minimum wage is barely enough to get by. So picking vegetables on a farm or cleaning a hotel room isn't a very attractive job. For people from developing countries, however, a chance to come to Canada is worth the menial labor, and the salary is still greater than they'd earn back home. That's why in 2001, the federal government created a program to allow employers to bring in temporary foreign workers, filling low-skilled jobs Canadians don't want. But as Sean O'Shea discovered, many of those workers who had dreams of living like Canadians say they've been abused and exploited.
On May 1st every year, workers here and around the world march for labor rights. But in some corners of Canada, those rights may depend on who you are and where you come from. Foreign workers are allowed to come to work in industries with labor shortages like agriculture, and they come in droves. Thousands of foreign workers are happy to get low-skilled, low-paid jobs Canadians don't want. They travel to thriving agricultural hotspots like Leamington, Ontario. But behind this pastoral country scene, there are ugly stories of Canada's disposable workforce.
It was exciting because this is an opportunity to come to Canada for the first time.
For Supaporn Sri Udom, working in Canada seemed like a great opportunity to provide for family back home.
They encourage us with an opportunity to make lots of money.
She's part of a group of Thai and Mexican workers. They say they found themselves trapped in a foreign country, saddled with debt, and unable to escape an abusive employer.
I've been here for 5 years, and I want to go home to see my children, but still can't return home.
Supaporn says recruiters charge between $10,000 and $12,000, but the promises made it seem worthwhile, so she put her house and farm on the line to borrow that money.
They promised us salary and overtime payment. We thought of the amount of money they had said, but it had never happened.
What Supaporn didn't know is that it was against the rules for that recruiter to charge for getting her a job. And she didn't know that her new employer, this man, may have been breaking the rules too.
We worked in the outdoor farm for about 3 months, and then we moved to the fish farm.
That put them in immediate danger because they were in violation of their work permits.
Lawyer Nikki Lundquist represents Supaporn and 41 others in a human rights complaint against their former employer, Presteve Foods.
None of them that I've seen, at least, had Presteve on their work permits.
Lundquist alleges Presteve discriminated against the Thai and Mexican workers and took advantage of their vulnerability.
They're in a situation of debt bondage, and they arrive in the country. You know, it was clear what would happen if they didn't obey, and that was they would get sent home.
In the complaint, workers say they were asked to sign their passports over to the company. And then there were the living conditions. This cramped bunkhouse is where some of the women slept until it was shut down.
There was exposed wiring. All of the windows were covered by bunk beds, and it appeared to be a safety concern. So the fire department was called, and they shut down the bunkhouse that day.
But most damning are the allegations against the employer, Jose Pratas. The former owner of Presteve Foods was charged with 23 counts of sexual assault and 5 counts of common assault in 2008. Most of those charges were eventually dropped. In 2010, Pratas admitted to touching 7 women inappropriately and pleaded guilty to 1 charge of common assault. He was sentenced to time served and 3 months probation.
I can tell you without any equivocation that not one of those women felt that justice was served that day.
The human rights case is still pending. Both Pratas and Presteve Foods deny the allegations. The workers have been allowed to stay in Canada for now. Meanwhile, Jose Pratas has since sold Presteve Foods and is now president of this vegetable farm in Leamington. We wanted to give Pratas a chance to tell his side of the story, so we asked for an on-camera interview. He agreed to meet us at this cafe to discuss it.
I'm Sean O'Shea, Global News 16 by 9. It's my business card.
First, Pratas denied any knowledge of the human rights complaint against him.
I was never notified of people. They haven't been notified of anything like that.
Then he denied knowing about the workers' house at Presteve Foods being shut down.
I don't know nothing about it.
You don't know anything about the fact that in 2008 the health department shut it down. When we again asked for an on-camera interview, Pratas refused and ended the meeting, but we still had more questions. I mean, Mr. Pratas, what happened with these migrant workers? Did you treat them fairly?
You're going to tell this to get the hell out of here? Or not? We haven't even started talk.
Well, I think I want to talk to you on the record, sir.
Forget it then.
But you're saying you know nothing about this tribunal. I mean, what happened with these women?
What does this wants with that camera?
I'm trying to get your side of the
Tell
story.
him to get it. Yeah, your side. My side of the story is not going to be.
Well, so far you haven't acknowledged anything. I mean, the assault that you were convicted of, you agreed with the court that you were acting inappropriately. You pleaded guilty.
I did not agree. I did not plead guilty. So don't get ahead of yourself.
You did plead guilty, sir.
No, I did not.
Finally, Pratas invited us back to his current farm, where he continued to deny everything, even his guilty plea. He claims the union that represents the workers is out to frame him, and he never did anything wrong. The foreign workers, you honestly believe that you treated them fairly?
Honestly believe that I did more than what I was supposed to.
Even though they're saying right up until this month that you mistreated them, that you overworked them, you worked them 7 days a week, you worked them 15 hours a day.
That's a lie. That is a pure lie.
Despite the human rights complaint and his criminal past, Pratas told us he's still using foreign workers. Nikki Lundquist says enforcement is just one of many problems with the low-skilled temporary worker program.
The problem with the program is so fundamental that I can't even say anything decent about it. I really can't.